Kera Korodudu. This is our special weekly bulletin where we talk about the stories shaping our world and give you insights to make sense of the global political landscape and help you to understand what is happening in Pakistan and around the world. These are our top stories for this week. Imran Khan's jail term extended by 14 days in cipher case hearing at Atok jail. Chief of Army Staff General Asim Munir is on an official visit to the Republic of Turkey. President Alvi proposes elections be held by November 6. Putin and North Korea's Kim discuss military matters, Ukraine war and satellites. How Pakistan can qualify for Asia Cup final. Now stories. Imran Khan's jail term extended by 14 days in cipher case hearing at Atok jail. A special court has prolonged the imprisonment of former Prime Minister Imran Khan by another 14 days, setting the next hearing date for September 26 in the cipher case. The proceedings took place within Atok jail, replacing Khan's 14-day remand that ended Judge Abu Alasnat Zokharin, who arrived at the jail early morning, ordered the extension of judicial remand. In response to security reasons request, the Ministry of Law and Justice permitted the hearing to be held at Atok jail. Imran Khan's legal team of 9 lawyers was also granted access to the jail. The Islamabad High Court reserved judgment on Tuesday regarding a petition filed by Imran Khan against the jail-based hearing. Imran Khan's lawyer argued that only the Supreme Court, not a Chief Commissioner, can authorize a trial's relocation to another province. Imran Khan applied for bail in the case, but the September 7th proceedings were inconclusive due to the judge's absence. Imran Khan has been detained in Atok jail since his August 5th arrest from his Lahore residence, stemming from a 3-year jail term sentence, later suspended by the Islamabad High Court. However, he faces charges related to leaking a diplomatic cable sent by then Pakistan ambassador to the US Asad Majid in March 2022 under the Official Secrets Act, registered in mid-August. Chief of Army Staff General Asim Munir is on an official visit to the Republic of Turkey. The visit is part of the high-level mutual visits by both the brotherly countries to enhance the historic diplomatic and military ties. During the visit, COAS called on H.E. Recep Tayyip Erdogan, President of Republic of Turkey, Foreign and Defense Ministers, Commander of Turkish General Staff, and commanders of Turkish land and air forces. During the meetings, COAS emphasized on enhancing defense collaboration and training cooperation. COAS appreciated Turkish military's efforts for maintaining peace and stability in the region and also praised the standards of operational readiness of Turkish armed forces. Turkish leaders acknowledged the efforts extended by Pakistan Army engineers who worked along NDMA teams during the unfortunate earthquake that hit Turkey in February this year. COAS visited the mausoleum of Mustafa Kemal Atatürk in Ankara to pay homage to the great leader and laid floral wreath in his honor. COAS later visited the Turkish Land Forces headquarters, where on his arrival he was given a warm welcome and was presented with the Guard of Honor. COAS was also conferred with the Legion of Merit by the Minister of Defense and Commander Turkish Land Forces in recognition of his services towards promoting defense relations between two countries. During the ceremony, COAS highlighted that Pakistan and Turkey have strong brotherly relations which have always stood the test of times. Pakistan Army is always willing to extend full support to the Turkish Land Forces in multiple domains. Pakistan has always stood with their Turkish brothers in times of calamity and moments of triumph and shall continue to strengthen the fraternal ties amongst the two nations. President Alvi proposes elections be held by November 6. President Dr. Arif Alvi on Wednesday wrote a letter to Chief Election Commissioner CEC Sikandar Sultan Raja and proposed November 6 as the date for elections. In the letter, the President said he had dissolved the National Assembly on the Prime Minister's advice on August 9th. The President cited Article 48 of the Constitution, which he said empowers and mandates the President to appoint a date not later than 90 days from the date of the dissolution for the holding of a general election to the Assembly. Hence, in terms of Article 48, the general election to the National Assembly should be held by the 89th day of the date of dissolution of the National Assembly, i.e. Monday, 6th day of November 2023, the letter read. Moreover, the Law Ministry also had the same view on the matter, it said, adding that all 4 provincial governments were of the opinion that the announcement of the election date was the Election Commission of Pakistan's ECP mandate. Acknowledging that it was the ECP's responsibility to abide by all the constitutional and legal steps stipulated under Articles 51, 218, 219, 2020 and the Elections Act 2017 for organising and conducting free and fair elections, the President advised the ECP in consultation with provincial governments and political parties under the relevant provisions of the Constitution and in view that some of these matters are already sub judice, may seek guidance from the superior judiciary for announcement of a single date for general election to the national and provincial assemblies. The President's advice to the CEC comes against the backdrop of divided opinions among stakeholders on the time frame for elections. According to Article 244 of the Constitution, elections are supposed to be held by November 9th within 90 days of the premature dissolution of the National Assembly, NA, on August 9th. However, the ECP says the elections will be pushed beyond the constitutionally mandated cut-off date following the notification of new 2023 digital census results. The ECP bases its decision on Section 17 of the Elections Act, which states the Commission shall delimit constituencies after every census is officially published. Similarly, while the President has highlighted constitutional provisions authorising him to announce the poll date, the ECP refers to a recent amendment to the Elections Act 2017 that empowered the Commission to announce the dates for polls unilaterally without having to consult the President. Interim Prime Minister Anwar Kakar has taken the same position on the matter, but has also clarified that the caretaker government would act in accordance with the court ruling if the Supreme Court issued a binding judgment for elections to be held within the prescribed period of 90 days. Earlier today, caretaker Law Minister Ahmad Ifan Aslam held a meeting with the provincial law ministers during which participants understood the importance of upholding the principles of democracy and ensuring the smooth conduct of elections. Meanwhile, voices have been growing louder recently from many quarters, including the PPP, PTI, Supreme Court, Bar Association and Pakistan Bar Council, for either the President or the ECP to announce the election date and the polls to be held within the constitutionally mandated 90-day period. Following the President's proposal to the CEC today, lawyer Abdul Moiz Jafari termed the letter a damp squib and toothless. Putin and North Korea's Kim discuss military matters, Ukraine war and satellites. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un and Russian President Vladimir Putin met for a rare summit on Wednesday at which they discussed military matters, the war in Ukraine and possible Russian help for the secretive communist state's satellite program. Putin showed Kim around Russia's most advanced space rocket launch site in Russia's Far East after Kim arrived by train from North Korea. Kim asked numerous detailed questions about rockets as Putin showed him around the Vostochny Cosmodrome. US and South Korean officials have expressed concern that Kim would provide weapons and ammunition to Russia, which has expended vast stocks in more than 18 months of war in Ukraine. Moscow and Pyongyang have denied such intentions. For Russia, the summit was an opportunity to needle the United States, the big power supporter of Ukraine, though it was unclear just how far Putin was prepared to go in fulfilling any North Korean wish lists of technology. Putin said Kim now planned to visit military and civilian aviation factories in the Russian city of Komorsk on Amur and inspect the Russians' Pacific Fleet in Vladivostok. Putin and Kim called each other comrades at lunch, and Putin repeatedly reminded Kim that it was the Soviet Union which backed North Korea and was first to recognize it just over 75 years to the day since it was established. Amidst the Ukraine war, which has become a grinding artillery war of attrition, the United States and Kiev's other allies are watching to see if Kim's visit paves the way for a supply of artillery to Russia. Russia has joined China in opposing new sanctions on North Korea, blocking a US-led push and publicly splitting the UN Security Council for the first time since it started punishing Pyongyang in 2006. Ahead of his meeting with Putin, Kim signed the visitor book in Korean. The glory to Russia, which gave birth to the first space conquerors, will be immortal. As Kim was making his way through the forests of Russia by train, North Korea launched 2 short-range ballistic missiles from an area near the capital, Pyongyang, into the sea of its east coast. It was the first such launch by the North, while Kim, as a broad analyst said, demonstrating an increased level of delegation and more refined control systems for the country's nuclear and missile programs. Kim had made just 7 trips abroad in his 12 years in power, all in 2018 and 2019. He also briefly stopped across the inter-Korean border twice. Cricket. How Pakistan can qualify for Asia Cup finals. Pakistan and Sri Lanka still have their fate in their hands as far as qualifying for the final of the ongoing Asia Cup 2023 is concerned. Only one final slot is up for grabs as Team India on Tuesday, September the 12th, became the first team to book their spot in the final. The men in blue qualified for the final of the ongoing Asia Cup 2023 with a fighting win over Sri Lanka in the Super Fours. India were up against the spirited Sri Lankan side that had not lost in 13 matches. Although India was the favourite, Sri Lanka showed why they were unbeaten. The co-hosts nearly pulled off a famous win over India at the R. Premadasa Stadium, but eventually went down by 41 runs. Sri Lanka bowled out India for a modest total of 213 runs. In reply, they were all out for 172 in the 42nd over despite some gusty performances with the bat from the likes of Danyanja De Silva and Dunif Welaje. With Sri Lanka suffering a loss against Team India, the hopes of a first ever India versus Pakistan final Asia Cup are still alive. Pakistan have their fate in their own hands after Sri Lanka's loss and could set up a mouth-watering clash against their arch-rivals. Talking about standings in Super Fours, India are on top with 2 wins from as many games. Sri Lanka and Pakistan are second and third respectively after winning one of the 2 games. Sri Lanka are ahead of Pakistan because of the net run rate. Bangladesh, on the other hand, have been knocked out of the tournament after suffering 2 losses. 2 matches are still remaining in the Super Fours of Asia Cup 2023, while India will take on Bangladesh, Sri Lanka and Pakistan will be up against each other in what would be another virtual semi-final. The game between India and Bangladesh won't have any impact on the final standings, but the Sri Lanka versus Pakistan clash will decide the second finalist. A win will be enough for the men in green to enter the final. Similarly, Sri Lanka can also make it to the final if they manage to beat Pakistan. The winner of the game will meet India in the final. However, rain can spoil Pakistan's plans. The weather forecast for Colombo is not promising, and there is a possibility of the game between Sri Lanka and Pakistan getting washed out. In such a case, Sri Lanka will advance to the final due to their superior net run rate, 0.200, compared to Pakistan, minus 1.892. So for Pakistan to qualify and set up an India versus Pakistan final, they will have to hope that rain stays away and they beat Sri Lanka. And those are the news headlines and news stories. Thank you and goodbye.